Now, ladies and gentlemen, our referee in charge, der Ringrichter, working in this his 66th world title bout, Dr. Lou Moretz. And now, ladies and gentlemen, supervising this bout, the president of the World Boxing Organization, WBO, Francisco Valcarcel. Once again, our referee in charge, Dr. Lou Moretz, now to give instructions.
Referee Lou Moretz.
Instructions in the dressing room. Expecting a good, clean fight. Shake hands and await the bell. Good luck.
The massive figure of
Clear
Wladimir
the ring, ladies and
Klitschko.
gentlemen. It is time for the
wily
revenge of
southpaw
the brother.
Chris Byrd. The revenge of the brothers, says Jimmy Lennon Jr. Will it be a repeat or revenge? Vladimir's golden opportunity to reinstate the name Klitschko to the WBO heavyweight title, and pride on the line here. Elder brother Vitaly, who was over in the corner there, literally threw the belt away when he quit on his stool against unfancied, cagey Chris Byrd. The American returns to Germany to add another Klitschko scalp to his record. First defense then here in the hostile territory of Cologne. And first thing you'll notice about Byrd is he is very slippery and awkward. Huge reach advantage for the Ukrainian giant. He's got to make use of the jab.
Yeah, he has to try to force this fellow into making mistakes. I mean, Klitschko has failed to look good on a couple of occasions, and tonight he's facing probably the most difficult fighter in the division to look good against. So we'll see how he copes with it, but he has to be a bit more aggressive than we've seen him in some of his fights in the past.
Already the German crowd here clapping. That's the norm in these parts. Trying to get behind their man, based in Hamburg from the Ukraine. The former Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist. Trying to get his right hand into working order. That's his danger punch, Klitschko. Nothing yet from Byrd. He tends to frustrate and mess his opponents around. Carrying a little weight around the stomach, Byrd, but only weighed in at 15.3½. He's light for a heavyweight. In fact, he was a light welterweight as an amateur. How on earth did he go up that far?
Well, Klitschko's looking positive, at least in the first round. He looks as though he wants to get this fight over with. That was a good shot, good solid right hand, caught in the forehead.
32 knockouts in 34 fights. Most coming early for Wladimir Klitschko. Tends to pin Byrd back on the ropes. Not making enough use of his own jab, Byrd. Just sitting back and having a good look at Klitschko. Starting to showboat a little.
Yeah, well, Klitschko's moving right into punching range, so that's good. Not a bad first round from Klitschko.
Quiet opener. You can do it, says Chris Byrd's wife there. There's Klitschko. In his corner, he has Fritz Skunek, who is a trainer for Klaus-Peter Kohl, who's been with him for a long time. He says that he needs a couple more defences should he win this before he goes anywhere near Lennox Lewis. He's not the finished article yet, Klitschko.
No, he's still a little bit raw, but I think he'll always retain a lot of his amateur style because he's so tall. I mean, you can't really get fighters this height to tuck their chin in and tighten up. He's always going to be a little bit upright. But a lot of aggression from him in the first round, so that was good.
Here's the second round then. WBO heavyweight title from Cologne here in Germany. 13,000 at ringside to watch hero Wladimir Klitschko on the left of your screens in the blue trunks, up against the tricky, much smaller and lighter heavyweight Chris Byrd from Flint in Michigan, making the first defense of his title, the one he won in April. Shock that was. Klitschko dominating from the heart of the ring. And Byrd negative so far.
You'd hope maybe that Byrd winning that World Heavyweight Championships would make him fancy the job a bit more and be a bit more aggressive. But I don't think he's going to change the habits of a lifetime. Still the cute, cagey boxing.
Well, now he says, come on, to Klitschko. Can you do better than your brother did? Well, to be honest, the elder Klitschko was beating Byrd hands down until he quit on his stool with a shoulder injury at the end of the 9th round.
This is good stuff from Klitschko here. He's standing right on top of Byrd, not allowing him to back out of the corner. Difficult to catch him cleanly, but these are good punches that he's throwing.
Yes, he was a brilliant amateur, Byrd, with 275 fights. He won a silver in the Barcelona Olympics at middleweight. So, as you can imagine, has the speed and movement that can frustrate nearly all heavyweights. Whether he's good enough to call himself a legitimate world champion, we'll find out here as Klitschko starts to press home his advantages. There's the right hand, watch the hook and then a left jab. Just creeps in between the guard of Byrd.
Well, Klitschko will have no trouble getting up close to Byrd, so chances of a stoppage here, maybe if the action stays like this.
This is the round that he blew David Batiste away on the Lewis Grant undercard. Klitschko, number 2, he likes that. Find his range with that jab, and speed too from Klitschko with the overhand right. Well, Byrd may be smiling, but Klitschko is by far the dominant force in the ring here. 2-0 to the Ukrainian, no question about that.
Yep, excellent round from Klitschko, doing the right thing, standing right on top of Byrd. Little feints before he throws the punches. You have to force this guy into making some mistakes, and I think that's what Klitschko was doing in the second round there.
Just closing his eyelids there, Klitschko, and taking the minute rest. There's his brother, just looming over him. He's due to fight for the vacant European crown, the one that Wladimir gave up to fight for this world title. Klitschko Senior due back in action November the 25th against German Timo Hoffmann in Hanover. The Byrd family watch and wait. Can their man do any better? Here's the third. Klitschko the younger by 6 years. The one on the way up, he's had more fights than Byrd, 35 to 30. They brought him up pretty rapidly since his debut only 4 years ago. Byrd's been around much longer. It's been nearly 8 years a professional. Good movement and combinations from Klitschko. Again, Byrd takes the corner route. There's a British fighter that does this called Peter Obo. He springs into attack. he's not a big puncher, Chris Byrd, only 19 knockouts. He should be doing more.
Yeah, well, I think the problem for Klitschko, he's had some stamina problems in the past. And if he's missing as often as he is here and having to force the punches out, if he starts tiring a little bit, I hope he doesn't go back into a shell. What he's been doing so far has been fairly good. I hope he just keeps this level going, keeps trying to force a stoppage.
Yeah, the worry with some of the writers out here was that Klitschko, if he didn't get Byrd away within 6 rounds or so, his stamina may come into question. It was his only defeat when he lost in the 11th to an American journeyman, really, in Ross Purity. It was an absolute disaster for him. In December a couple of years ago, he just ran out of gas. And Byrd holds a win over Purity, although that doesn't really mean much, because Klitschko has improved since then. He's won 10 in a row.
Well, at least Byrd's managed to get himself off the ropes in this round. He's trying to come forward a little bit, but his punching is fairly poor, I'm afraid. That was better.
Left hooks from Byrd. Nothing to give Klitschko any problems. There's the jab and straight right. He cannot out-jab Klitschko, Byrd. Has he got to move side to side?
Yeah, but he's just going to do what he always does. I mean, as I said earlier, habits of a lifetime. What we're seeing, I don't think Byrd will try anything else. He'll try being an aggressive now and again. He'll be hoping that Klitschko runs out of steam. He'll just want to weather the early storm in the early rounds and hopefully come back later. This is a better round.
The criticism of Klitschko is that he is a little mechanical, robotic almost. That was better for the American, brother Vitaly. They're so close, the two of them. In London recently, when Wladimir appeared on the Lewis Bota card and beat up Monty Barrett in 7 rounds. Vitaly was with him all the way there. They're in each other's corners. It's nice to see. And Vitaly's taken a lot of stick, hasn't he, from what happened with him? Do you think it's fair?
Well, you know what boxing crowds are like. They expect blind courage from the fighters. That was a better round. Byrd, a little bit more aggressive, got his back off the ropes for a change and tried to come forward now and again, but his punching was a little bit disappointing.
There's Father Joe Byrd. He trains Chris. The WBO version of the heavyweight title, the WBC and IBF champion, of course, our very own Lennox Lewis, who defends against David Tua on November the 11th. Should be a real exciting one, that one. WBA champion Evander Holyfield, controversially over Johnny Ruiz. And of course, Mike Tyson and Andrew Golota to come. But there is a chance for one of the Klitschkos, if not both of them, to dominate over the next 3 or 4 years. The younger brigade coming through. Could this be the best white heavyweight out there?
Yeah, probably. I would say so, and in the way he started off tonight, I was just thinking it'd make an attractive match with him and Lennox Lewis. But the problem now, Byrd is beginning to find a little bit of rhythm now. He's got in that little niche that he finds for himself, just messing people about. And Klitschko has dropped the pace. I think he's been missing with so many punches. He's worrying already, maybe about blowing himself out here.
A great deal of pressure on the Klitschko brothers. So much expected, especially with the downfall of Tommy Morrison and Franz Bota and Andrew Golota to an extent. Never really lived up to their potential.
So what you have to do with this type of opponent, you have to throw punches in 3s and 4s and put the power into the last couple of shots. Just find your way in with the first couple of shots and put the power into the last bit. Catching Byrd with single shots is no easy matter.
Is it fair to say that no one ever looks any good against Chris Byrd?
That is the problem. He's so good. His defensive boxing, he's got it down to a fine art, and he's good at making people look bad. And when people become frustrated, they start making mistakes, and that's probably why Byrd has won so many of his fights. But at least Klitschko, he's going about the job the same way. He's not becoming frustrated, not doing silly, wild things. But I think he should just raise the pace a little bit.
There's also not many southpaw heavyweights. Klitschko used to bowling over the orthodox ones. Right straight into the laughing face of Chris Byrd. He's got a good chin, Byrd. But if Klitschko catches anyone clean, they will go. He has enormous power. He's a 6'7" frame. Really good work now from Wladimir Klitschko. They announce him in at 2 meters tall. Mrs. Byrd shaking her head. And quite rightly so. Her man is losing this.
Yep, he's definitely losing, and the trouble is he hasn't even made an impression on Klitschko. Everything going wrong. I mean, he's still quite comfortable in his style, but that was a lovely right-hand punch, and that proves that he does have a good chin. So even when Klitschko does get through, Byrd seems able to take the power. We'll see as the fight progresses and they start to tire a little bit. But there's some good work from Klitschko in that round.
The wonderful Holm Arena here in Cologne. There's Dad talking to son. It's a real family affair. Brother Patrick as well in the corner. It's the 5th round then, in the open air of Cologne. WBO heavyweight title, the champion Chris Byrd from Flint, Michigan, in a spot of bother, according to Jim's card here.
In the 3rd round, he did a little bit better, but I thought his punches lacked the quality of the challengers. And again, he's just really surviving here. This is, again, good work from Klitschko.
Yes, he's coming out with some intensity for this one, Klitschko. A bit of a cupping right hand. But he's picking up the pace, much to the enthusiasm of the crowd. Look at that long jab, raking out. Will Byrd start to tire? He's been holding his hands up and trying to frustrate Klitschko. These are big blows going in. A right hook, again slightly using the inside of the glove from Klitschko. You get the feeling that if he can land one beauty, Byrd will be in trouble.
Yeah, but Byrd is the reflexes. You can just, even when the punch lands, he just seems to pull his head that slight little bit, just it takes most of the sting out of the shots. But that was excellent work from Klitschko. I mean, the last time we saw him against Barrett, I thought he lacked adventure. You know, he waited until Barrett was almost exhausted before he moved in with the big guns. But this is far better from him tonight.
Yes, he looked a bit slow against Monty Barrett, but he's very much up for this fight. He hasn't been involved in the promotion, which was the mistake he made when he fought Ross Purity. And working in the gym, he's come in light at 17 stone, so he's trained extremely hard, Klitschko, for his major opportunity. Byrd with an attack for a sporadic one, really. One of the first times in the fight he comes forward.
Again, the quality punches coming from Klitschko. Good, strong, well-delivered punches.
One wonders why Chris Byrd has decided to run his career at heavyweight. I wonder if he'd been down in the light heavies or cruiserweight, he would have been a very successful fighter. He has beaten a couple of former cruiserweight champions in Uriah Grant and Arthur Williams. But not many big wins at heavyweight. Prod his southpaw jab out, but He's being outworked and outfought in there by Klitschko.
Klitschko's coping with him well, Adam. He's actually looking quite good against him at the moment here.
Come on, Chris Byrd says. And the family in the corner. Very religious. They're with family values, the Byrds from Flint in Michigan. But Klitschko is fighting well in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, and he's standing right on top of Byrd, not giving him any room to move, getting him on the ropes and just taking his time, so you can see not silly wild punches. He's not becoming frustrated yet, which is good news.
What advice do they give Byrd?
Well, I really don't think that there's much you can do here. I think Klitschko's a better boxer all the way around. I think if he comes out of his shell, he's more liable to be knocked out. But I hope for the sake of the fans, he comes out of the shell, just shows a bit more aggression. When he's losing, he's lost every round on my card, he really has to come up with something else.
He certainly doesn't look worried yet. Wladimir Klitschko's attempt at the world heavyweight title. Some people don't think it's the legitimate one. Lennox Lewis, widely considered the world heavyweight champion, the one to beat. But this is a version that Herbie Hyde became famous for, before Vladimir's brother Vitaly dispatched him ruthlessly in a couple of rounds in London last year. And it's Vladimir's chance. The revenge act over Chris Byrd. He said all week in the build-up to this that it's not revenge, that Chris Byrd beat his brother fair and square, and now he must do that. He's a very well-educated and nice man outside the ropes, Wladimir Klitschko. And they're massive heroes in both Germany and the Ukraine. I remember the shots of the fans when Vitaly won the championship. He'd love to go back and box in Kiev after the loss against Purity there. Take his world belt home, should he win this. Byrd offering nothing at the moment.
At least he's coming forward, which is probably giving Klitschko a chance to look a little bit better. I'm actually impressed with Klitschko in this performance. Much more about him, a bit more adventurous, I say, a lot more aggression than we saw last time out. This is good stuff.
Good movement too there from Klitschko. Nice defence as well. He's a prestigious, world-class amateur. The World Juniors got to the final, the quarter-finals of the World Seniors, and of course that Olympic gold medal. Turns Byrd well.
See, Byrd's trying to come forward in this round, but he's not very good at it. He's a natural counter-puncher, so coming forward is not his strong point, so his punches are falling short. He's been picked off here.
Again, a cuffing right hand. That was round the side, possibly back of Byrd's head. And he was quick to point that out, Chris Byrd. Go on, Chris, shout the family from ringside, who can be heard here, even with the Klitschko supporters. Oh, good right hand from Klitschko, and covers up well. There is some class about him.
Yeah, as I say, I'm really impressed with him tonight. Thankfully, Byrd has shown a little bit more aggression. That's the biggest effort he's made. He still didn't win the round, but at least he made an effort in that round.
Yes, I had that level on my card, but the only success Byrd has had so far. There's Vitaly having a word with his brother. Vladimir's always the one that's said to have more talent. Manuel Stewart thinks that. He thinks he's the better.
Yeah, he's maybe a little bit more athletic. I said a difficult call between the two of them. But certainly my opinion has risen on this performance. This is good stuff. He's controlled Byrd right from the off, and I feel in every round his punching has been far better quality than the champions.
Smile on his face as well there, Klitschko. As he talks to Fritz Snunek. Second half then of the WBO heavyweight title. Wladimir Klitschko there in the blue and yellow shorts, the 24-year-old challenger, based in Hamburg but from the Ukraine, and is running away with it. Well, that's unofficial according to Jim. We've got 3 judges here, one from the States, one from Germany and one from Puerto Rico. Should it go the distance? But only 2 of Klitschko's 35 fights have gone that far. The other question is, will he run out of gas, Klitschko? That's the slight possibility.
Well, I think the good news is he's working at his own pace. Byrd tried to raise the pace in the previous round, tried to come forward, knock him out of his stride. Really wasn't too successful. But Klitschko again working at his own pace, at long range, plenty of time to get the punches off. So no signs yet that he's tiring, and he has dropped the pace intentionally. I think the fact that he was missing a lot of his early punches, he's settled down, just try not to waste punches.
I don't know what Byrd Senior has been saying in the corner there, on the other side to us, but he certainly looks a bit more adventurous now. Klitschko taking a back step for the first time. It's Byrd on the prowl, and you don't often see that. Left uppercut through.
Byrd finding a little bit of ambition, which is nice. This is the best work we've seen from him so far.
This is making Klitschko just look a little bit methodical in this round. Is the left-right combination. Sometimes not quite the variety there.
Yeah, he is a little bit mechanical. See, the fact that he has to stand up so tall, he doesn't use uppercuts as often as you would like to see. His punching is a little bit predictable, especially against a fellow like Byrd.
That's exactly the shot I was thinking of, and that's the one that Lennox Lewis specialises in, being a big man.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that he can thank Emmanuel Stewart for. I mean, uppercut wasn't really a key punch until he went with Stewart.
Is Klitschko ready for the likes of Lennox Lewis yet, or does he need a lot more time?
I don't think it's fair to judge Klitschko against this fellow. I mean, I think he's looking good, but I think he would look even better against a different opponent. But having said that, this is probably his worst round so far.
Yes, I have one for Chris Byrd at last, the 7th round. The champion finally decides to go through the motions, move forward, and take a round of boxing.
I think maybe his plan has been to come good in the second half of the fight. I mean, all the physical advantages with Klitschko. So maybe he's waiting for things to... And maybe that body shot there, which I didn't notice during the round, maybe just took a little bit of the steam out of Klitschko, because that was a good body shot. Maybe that just winded him for part of that round.
Well, Byrd does have the experience. 212 rounds of boxing before this one to Klitschko's 112. He might just want to take it into the latter stages. Calm in the Klitschko corner. Here's the 8th round. A few faces over there at ringside. I saw Johnny Nelson is here with his trainer John Ingle, enjoying the atmosphere, the open air of the Colne Arena here in Cologne. Wladimir Klitschko, remember, in the blue and yellow. Chris Byrd, the champion from Michigan in the States, had to travel back to Germany to defend the title he won here. Only one defeat on Chris Byrd's record. That was to Ike Imabuchi, who stopped him in 5 rounds in March of last year. And that was the Byrd story jarred or exposed. The negative heavyweight who finally got found out. He's won 5 since.
Well, the rounds are much more competitive now. This is far better from Byrd. He's finally come awake, I think.
I don't know what he's saying in there, but he's starting to enjoy it. And maybe he can sense that Klitschko is tired or tiring. A little mark as well by the right eye, just under the right of Klitschko there, just on his cheek. He could get frustrated and bored.
Well, I think it's more likely he's maybe going to become tired, because it's not as though his punches are missing. He's actually been backed up now. And for the first time we're seeing a little bit of ambition from the champion now.
His jab and left hand, and Klitschko holds on. But he comes back with good body shots. That was impressive. Now the right hand, and Byrd's gloves drop. And he almost wanted to take a breather there. His eye puffing up as well. Hands down. But as you can hear from the crowd, Klitschko back in action in a big way.
Yeah, well, he certainly turned this round. Klitschko was just struggling at the start of this round, but this is far better from him.
So there's a change in gears from Klitschko, which is good to see. I don't know how many more of these rights Byrd will want to keep taking, because his shots are not having the effect. That was a good round.
That was a good round, and full credit to Klitschko, the way he came back. He was struggling at the start of the round, but he grit his teeth that little bit and come back well in the second half of the round, and won it on my card.
The right eye there, very swollen for Chris Byrd. They're working on the left as well, which is just puffy too. Scars of battle. He says he's fine. We'll see if that eye gets any worse. Remember Chris Eubanks against Carl Thompson, where he couldn't see out of it. No such major damage yet, resulting from Klitschko's jabs and right hands. I think it was time to up the pace again from the corner. Byrd maybe sending out some distress signals. He's losing this, and he's losing it big. No doubt about that. Surely the judges won't be seeing anything different apart from a very dominant Wladimir Klitschko.
Signs of tiredness from Byrd towards the end of the previous round. Really stationary, taking too many shots, getting caught far too easily.
There's a right hook from Klitschko. Very impressed with his body shots in the previous round. You can try and open Byrd up with those. Left and right. Byrd walks through them. He's trying to control the middle of the ring for the last 2 or 3 rounds, Byrd, but he hasn't got the physical strength to do that. There's over a stone and a half between them.
And he's actually been pinned on the end of Klitschko's punches now. I think he's feeling the pace, Byrd.
Yes, accuracy now from Klitschko. There's a distressing look about Chris Byrd.
His movements have really slowed down, even the way he's bobbing and weaving in front of Klitschko. Everything is slowed down. That
just looked at the referee there and said he was okay. He's having difficulty seeing through that right eye, I think, which is obviously crucial from the southpaw's point of view. He's looking much more open now. That's a left hand from Klitschko. The right hook follows. Wobbles Byrd, and the American in serious trouble. He puts out a rally of defiance, but he was hurt by that, and hurt badly. And can Klitschko become only the second man to stop Chris Byrd? He's out of trouble, Byrd, but you feel that this is only a short rally.
Klitschko breathing heavily now. He couldn't sustain that attack. I thought if we could just maybe another 10-15 seconds get a closer stoppage there. But I think he's breathing now. He's breathing heavily. He has to get his breath back in order again.
As he takes a step back, it's a muscly frame, Klitschko. Right hand there over the top, and down goes Byrd for the first time in the fight. Klitschko returns to the neutral corner, but it was the accumulation really earlier in the round, I think, that hurt Byrd. He's back on his feet quite quickly, but he has never been able to get into this fight, and he's taking a bit of a drubbing now. Hands down. Bad moments for Byrd. The bell rescues him at the end of the ninth, and, well, what will Dad Joe be saying to him? I don't think he'll want to see much more of this.
Well, he took a lot of big shots in that round, and the punches that caused the knockdown, tremendous punches. He took a tremendous left hook about half a minute or so before that, and full credit to Byrd for getting back up there and back into action again.
Look at Vitaly.
That was a bad round for him.
How happy is his elder brother? Obviously sad for his own career that he could not defend successfully against Chris Byrd, but those feelings have gone for tonight. All he wants is for Wladimir to bring the world crown home.
You can see Byrd's movements are so much slower now, and he's being caught with the full force of the punches. Before he was managed to slip and slide at the last second, but now the full power of the punches are landing on target.
Well, 9 minutes left of this WBO heavyweight title. The crowd on their feet here. Not often you see that in these parts. Coming to you from Cologne, where 13,000 Wladimir Klitschko fans are urging their man to step up the pace. Can Chris Byrd make it through these last rounds? Klitschko is breathing heavily. Do you think the fact that he's muscled, he's very well defined, I mean, that affected like people like Fred Bruno and one or two other fighters like that? Do you think that might be a problem for him?
I don't really think that. I think he's fairly athletic, and he's not forcing the punches. I mean, let's remember, he set a fair pace, and this fella's been messing him about. He was missing a lot of punches in the early rounds, but I think he's coping with the pace quite well. And the previous round really was a big round. He used up a lot of gas in that round.
Well, to be fair, Byrd is a pretty fortunate world champion, having won on a retirement. We're so happy, though. Pleased just to have that achievement. It seems to be slipping away from him, from the better boxer. And probably more ambitious young man than Wladimir Klitschko. He's got his sights set on a big showdown with Lennox Lewis. There was talk of that in London when the two were on the same card, happening within the next 9-10 months. He's gone another route, but he's on his way to picking up a tiny little piece of the world heavyweight crown.
Yeah, Byrd's punches looking a little bit feeble now, and once again, right onto the shot. Punches are landing cleanly now.
Yes, right hand on the counter this time from Klitschko, and again, solid. He has some serious power, the fighter from Ukraine. Whether he's classy enough to deal with a Lennox Lewis, he's certainly dangerous enough to have a chance of beating him.
Well, the fact that he's looking good against this fellow, Adam, I think that says a lot for him. Not too many people look good against Chris Byrd. So this is doing his reputation a lot of good.
This Byrd has always had the reputation of being a slippery, wily, awkward, negative, but very effective customer who nobody wants to fight. Now Klitschko is relishing this, and Byrd is very unhappy with himself. The eye, the right eye, almost shut. At the corner, well, they're talking there, brother Patrick and father Joe. I don't know whether they're thinking maybe they want to pull him out.
Yeah, I think there's good cause to pull him out, because he's 1-0. I've given him one round, and it's really turning against him now. He's taken the full power of the shots, which he wasn't doing earlier. His movements have slowed. There's no way he's going to get back into this fight. It's a good time to pull him out, but typical of fighters, when a fighter's tried, he'll no doubt want to hear the final bell if he can do that.
Just some tape coming loose, the right glove of Klitschko. The end is in sight. Worried Mrs. Byrd, watching her husband in what looks to be his one and only defence of the WBO heavyweight title. Does he have the punch to turn things around? Maybe not. In those blue and yellow shorts, packed with the sponsors. He paid £800,000 by a record company when he walked in earlier to their music. Turning into real folk names, the two Klitschko brothers, both in Germany and in the Ukraine, and now he steps it up once more.
He's really looking good tonight. This is a vast improvement from the last time we saw him in action. This shows the difference when a world title is on the line, the ambition there, and he's really turned it on tonight.
As he laboured against Monty Barrett for round after round, he's doing a number on Chris Byrd, and very few heavyweights have done anything like this to Byrd. Only Ibabuchi, who is currently in jail. Right hand from Klitschko, and Byrd wobbles, and he's down with another right, cuffing over the head, but it was the first one that did the damage. Knockdown number 2 in the fight, and Wladimir Klitschko is on the threshold of becoming a world champion. There's almost tears from the Americans at ringside, and Chris Byrd is offering nothing back. Lou Moret, the referee, taking a very close look. He says he's fine, he said he's okay, but he's going to have to throw some shots back. He can't keep talking to the ref like that.
I think there's a case to pull him out of there. I mean, there's no way he can turn this around. He's got nothing left. He's taking punches for no reason.
Well, there was his father with the towel, and having a chat there with brother Patrick, who said, no, don't pull him out. He's okay. They obviously want to get him to the final bell, but there's his dad again. He's back up on the steps. There's argument between the two Byrds, while the argument in the ring is conclusive in that Wladimir Klitschko is surely now going to become the new world champion. Would you pull him out?
Yeah, I would have him out of there, definitely. I mean, there's been a case a couple of rounds before now, but there's a drastic case now. He's been on the floor once again. He's got nothing to offer. He's virtually exhausted, everything going against him.
Dad Joe rushes into the ring. What will they be saying now to him? 1 round to go. Another big 10-8 round to Wladimir Klitschko. And, well, there's no point even tottering up the scores. He's just got to stay on his feet for 3 minutes.
Yeah, he's a mile ahead, and no signs whatsoever that Byrd has the strength or the power to cause him any damage. The time is right to get him out of there, but from sitting here in the corner, I've no thoughts about doing that.
Joe Sr. is still there with him, working on the eyes. I'm sure he's now saying, okay, have the last round for pride, but if you're in any more trouble, you're out of there, and I'll pull you straight out, I'm sure. Very difficult father and son relationships in the corner. Of course, Enzo and Joe Calzaghe, Richard and Len Woodall back home. So about 2:45 left of the fight. Wladimir Klitschko, the 24-year-old Ukrainian based here in Germany, is so close now. Tries to poke out the jab. He just hasn't been effective at all tonight. He hasn't been able to slip and eel his way around Klitschko, has he? As he has done so many others.
See, he's never made any impression on Klitschko whatsoever. Klitschko's tactics have been perfect, just standing right over him. Not getting too close, not doing anything silly, not becoming frustrated, just working away steadily and in a controlled fashion. And really, he's gone up a lot in my estimation, Klitschko. This has been an excellent performance.
The dangerous right hand through for the umpteenth time from Klitschko. Maybe more work before he can take on the likes of Lennox Lewis, even Evander Holyfield at this stage. But trainer Fritz Snudik has been saying all week that he wants Wladimir to take his time. Having talked to Wladimir when he was in London, he said he wants Lewis and he wants him now, but I'm sure any fighter would say that.
The fact that he hasn't taken too many punches either tonight, Klitschko, his defensive boxing's been first class as well. I mean, even the few rounds where Byrd tried to come forward, Klitschko's defences were fairly sound.
He's had two shocks in his career, Klitschko, when he was floored by Steve Hamill and the loss to Ross Purity, and he's built very well on the back of both of those. And he's proved that the Olympic super heavyweight gold medal, when he outscored Payal Hultgram, was no joke in Atlanta. This man is going to become a world heavyweight champion now. There are those who will argue this is not the official title. Certainly Lennox Lewis being at the front of those. But it's a little piece in the jigsaw. He will have enacted revenge on Chris Byrd for beating his brother Vitaly in April in Berlin.
It has to be said that the 9 rounds that his brother completed, I mean, Wladimir has put up a far better show tonight, controlled Byrd far better than his brother did.
Last few seconds, and the crowd on their feet. They know they've got a new champion. He punches the air, Wladimir Klitschko, and there can be no doubt, surely. Look at there, almost tears in the corner from Coach Snudik, and brother Vitaly over there giving a pat on the back to Chris Byrd, whose family are relieved, I think, that he got through that without any major punishment. He's still got a smile on his face, which is good. But the judges, Cesar Rumas from Puerto Rico, Axel Zilka from Germany, and William Lurch from America, not even he, I'm sure, will give it to Chris Byrd. We've seen some odd decisions, but they're going to go down.
I've given them 1 round out of the 12. 2 knockdowns against, not a chance in this world that we can get a bad verdict here, especially over here with virtually the local boy.
Jim has it 119 to 107, a massive 12 points. Well, we had the controversy of Michael Brody against Willie Hareen. No one thought Hareen had taken the WBC super bantamweight crown, but it wasn't like that. This was very, very one-sided in the end, with Wladimir Klitschko strolling home. Vitaly was the WBO champion, his brother. Wladimir surely now will take the title. Who knows where he'll go Plenty of time at 24. Taking a while getting the verdicts, but there's some smiles on the faces of the German crowd. How will they be thinking back in Kiev? Remember those shots when Vitaly beat her behind? They're heroes back there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tremendous the way they've caught on. It's good for boxing that they're successful. But I mean, the best I can hope for Byrd, I've no doubt a couple of the judges made a little bit kinder to him than I was. But I wasn't impressed, even in these half-decent rounds. The quality of his punch, you could never match Klitschko's. So I'm pretty happy. 12 points of a difference.
Of course, the best German heavyweight of all time, Max Schmeling, who burst Joe Louis' bubble all those years ago. Now they've got, well, there's Johnny Nelson, the WBO cruiserweight champion, looking very smart outside the ropes after his 5th round demolition of Adam Watt. And I'm just looking over at Johnny, and he's got no doubt who's won it. Definitely Klitschko. Well, they've got a couple of new heavyweights here in Germany, albeit via the Ukraine. They won't worry too much about that, in Vladimir and Vitaly. Of course, that joins the WBO light heavyweight champion, Darius Mikuszewski. He'll be hoping for a shot at Roy Jones. It's good times in Germany at the moment. And a good moment for Wladimir Klitschko. Well, the judges have made their minds up. Let's join Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, meine Damen und Herren, das offizielle Urteil. Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge William Lurch scores the bout 120 to 106. Cesar Ramos scores the bout 118 to 108. And Alex Seidel scores the bout 119 to 107. All three in favor of the winner and the new WBO heavyweight champion of the world.
Gentlemen, you're drunk.